My child, come closer and listen with a calm heart, because what I am about to reveal may feel heavy, yet it is wrapped in protection, truth, and divine purpose. You have been sensing something lately, a strange pressure in your chest, a restlessness in your spirit, moments where your mind drifts without reason. You may not have understood why, but your soul knew. Something important has been unfolding quietly, behind closed doors, away from your awareness. And now, the time has come for you to be prepared to receive the truth. There is a high-profile case that has been moving silently, through shadows and light, through lies and evidence, through fear and courage. It is not an ordinary case. It carries weight, power, and consequences. Many eyes were watching it. Many voices were whispering about it, and many truths were hidden beneath layers of deception. While the world saw only fragments, one soul chose to see the whole picture. That soul is your soulmate. Your soulmate did not step into this lightly. They carried responsibility on their shoulders that you could not see. While you went about your days smiling, worrying, hoping, your soulmate was walking through pressure, scrutiny, and moral conflict. They were standing at the edge of truth and consequence, knowing that once the truth came out, nothing would remain the same. And still, they did not turn away. Understand this clearly. Your soulmate was chosen for this task, not by chance, but by alignment. They have a heart that cannot ignore injustice, a mind that seeks clarity, and a soul that values truth over comfort. Even when the path became painful, even when emotions tried to interfere, they stayed focused. They followed the evidence, the signs, and the truth, even when it began to point closer to home than either of you expected. You may be wondering why I did not warn you earlier, why I allowed you to remain unaware while something so serious unfolded in the background. Hear me gently now. Not every truth is meant to be revealed before the heart is ready. Some knowledge, if given too early, would only bring fear instead of understanding. I protected your peace while preparing your strength. I guarded your heart while aligning the timing. Your soulmate faced many nights of silence, nights where they questioned themselves, where they wondered if they were strong enough to continue, where they feared the impact this truth would have on you. They wrestled with loyalty and justice, emotion and duty. They asked me for guidance, for clarity, for strength to do what was right, even if it would hurt. And I answered them, not by removing the pain, but by giving them courage. There were moments when your soulmate wanted to stop, moments when they wished the trail would end, when they hoped the truth would lead elsewhere. But truth does not bend to wishes. Truth reveals itself layer by layer, and once seen, it cannot be unseen. Your soulmate understood this, and so they continued step by step, evidence by evidence, choosing integrity over denial. You may have noticed changes in them. A distant look, a heaviness in their voice, a seriousness that was not there before. Perhaps you felt them pulling away emotionally at times, not because they stopped caring, but because they were carrying something they could not share. This distance was not rejection, it was protection. They were trying to shield you from the storm before it arrived. I want you to know something important now. Your soulmate did not betray you by staying silent. They honored you. They respected the weight of the truth and the impact it would have on your heart. They waited for the right moment, the moment when truth could emerge without destroying you. Silence, in this case, was not deception. It was restraint guided by love. As the case unfolded, it became clear that it was bigger than anyone expected. Influential names, trusted faces, familiar circles, all were touched by it, and slowly, painfully, the truth began pointing towards someone very close to you, someone you trusted, someone you never imagined could be connected to something so dark, so hidden, so wrong. Your soulmate felt their heart sink when this realization emerged. They knew that once the truth came out, your world would shake. They knew the emotional weight you would carry, They knew the questions you would ask yourself, the memories you would replay, the trust you would begin to doubt. And still, they did not bury the truth. Because burying truth only allows darkness to grow. Hear me now. Truth is not cruel, even when it hurts. Truth is cleansing. It removes what was poisoning your life silently. What is being revealed was never meant to walk with you into your future. I am separating you from hidden harm, even if the separation feels painful at first. The case reached a point where evidence could no longer be ignored. The walls closed in. Lies collapsed under their own weight, and the moment of consequence became inevitable. When that moment arrived, your soulmate stood firm, not with pride, not with coldness, but with a heavy heart and a clear conscience. They did what was right, even when it felt unbearable. I know you are not yet hearing the name, and that is intentional. Your heart is still being prepared. This part of the journey is about grounding you, reminding you that you are not alone, that this revelation is guided, and that you are protected. The shock will come, yes, but it will not destroy you. I will not allow it. Right now, I want you to breathe. Feel your feet where they stand. Feel your breath move in and out. You are safe. You are guided. You are held. Nothing that is about to be revealed will take away your destiny, your love, or your future. What will be taken away is illusion. Your soulmate is not your enemy in this story. They are your shield. They stood between you and deeper harm. They chose truth so that your life could be cleansed, even if it meant standing in discomfort, judgment, and pain. This is not just a case they helped resolve. It is a protection they carried out. As this part ends, know this. The truth is closer than you think. The name will surface. The shock will be real. But so will the healing. So will the clarity. So will the deeper bond between you and the one who chose truth over fear for your sake. Remain still. Do not jump ahead in your thoughts. Do not imagine the worst. Allow me to guide you step by step. What is coming will change things, but it will also free you. This is only the beginning. Now that your heart has been gently prepared, now that you understand that something serious has been unfolding beyond your sight, it is time to go deeper into what your soulmate has been carrying within them. This part is not about shock yet. It is about understanding. It is about compassion. It is about seeing the invisible weight that love sometimes has to carry in silence. Your soulmate did not wake up one day and suddenly become part of this high-profile case. This responsibility slowly wrapped itself around them, tightening day by day as pieces of truth began to connect. At first, even they hoped it was nothing serious, nothing that would demand sacrifice. But truth has a voice, and once it starts speaking, it does not stop until it is fully heard. Every step your soulmate took deeper into this case pulled them further away from comfort and closer to consequence. They knew from early on that solving this case would not bring applause or peace. It would bring disruption. It would expose lies. It would hurt people. And the most painful realization came when they understood that the truth was walking dangerously close to your life. There were moments when your soulmate paused. Moments when they stared at evidence longer than necessary, hoping it would change. Moments when they questioned whether they were misreading signs, whether their heart was interfering with logic. They asked themselves again and again, what if I am wrong? Not because the facts were unclear, but because the emotional cost was terrifying. You must understand this. Your soulmate is human. They feel deeply. They love deeply. And when the truth began pointing towards someone connected to you, their first instinct was not duty. It was protection. Protection of your heart. Protection of your peace. Protection of the life you were living without suspicion or fear. They tried to create distance between themselves and the truth, not by ignoring it, but by hoping it would resolve on its own. They prayed for another explanation, another name, another outcome. And in those moments, I was with them. I listened to their questions. I felt their fear, but I also guided them back to clarity. Because delaying truth only allows darkness to grow stronger. There were nights when your soulmate could not sleep. Nights when their mind replayed conversations with you, memories of laughter, trust, and warmth, while the evidence sat heavy in their thoughts. They knew that once the truth came out, your world would shift, and the idea of being the one connected to that shift tore at their heart. They asked me, why does it have to be me? They asked me, why does this have to involve someone so close to the one I love? And my answer was not gentle comfort. My answer was purpose. I told them that not every soul is strong enough to stand between truth and emotion. Not every heart is capable of choosing integrity when love is involved, and not every person would be willing to walk through fire to protect someone they care about. They were chosen because they could endure it. Your soulmate delayed nothing out of fear. They delayed only to be certain, to be absolutely sure that what they were uncovering was real, undeniable, and complete. They knew that accusing, exposing, or moving forward without full clarity would destroy lives unjustly. So they waited, they verified, they dug deeper, and with every step, the truth became heavier. You may have felt this weight indirectly, a shift in conversations, a seriousness that replaced ease, a feeling that something was being held back. This was not emotional distance. It was emotional restraint. Your soulmate was containing a storm so it would not reach you before the ground was ready. At times they felt isolated. They could not confide in you. They could not fully express their fear, and the loneliness of that silence pressed hard on them. Yet even then, they did not waver. Love does not always speak loudly. Sometimes it stands quietly and absorbs pain, so another does not have to. As the case grew, outside pressure increased. Authorities demanded results. Eyes watched every move. Mistakes were not allowed. And still, your soulmate carried an additional burden that no one else knew. The knowledge that the truth, once revealed, would wound you deeply. They questioned whether love would survive this. They questioned whether you would ever look at them the same way. They questioned whether doing the right thing would cost them the connection they cherished most. These questions did not make them weak. They made them honest. Hear this clearly. Your soulmate never chose the case over you. They chose truth for you. They chose to remove a hidden danger from your life, even if it meant being misunderstood, blamed, or emotionally distanced in the process. There were moments when they wanted to warn you, to hint, to prepare you. But I held them back, not to be cruel, but to protect you from partial truth. Partial truth confuses more than it heals. I knew the right moment would come, and until then, silence was mercy. As evidence stacked higher, denial became impossible. The truth was no longer something that could be delayed without consequence. And when your soulmate realized this, something inside them shifted. Fear gave way to resolve. Doubt gave way to strength. They accepted that their role was not to soften the truth, but to deliver it responsibly. This acceptance did not come with peace. It came with grief. Grief for the version of life that would end. Grief for the innocence that would be lost. Grief for the pain you would feel. But grief does not cancel purpose. It deepens it. Understand that while you were living your life, your soulmate was fighting an internal war between love and justice, between protection and honesty. And in the end, they chose the path that would truly protect you, not just emotionally, but spiritually. Because what was hidden near you was not harmless. It was influencing your life in ways you did not see. It was draining your energy, shaping your choices, and standing in the way of your future. Removing it required courage, sacrifice, and unwavering truth. This part ends not with the arrest yet, but with a heavy stillness, the stillness before everything changes. Your soulmate knows what is coming. The truth is ready to surface. And soon you will understand why all of this had to happen exactly this way. Do not fear what is coming. What is being removed was never meant to walk with you into your future. And the one who stood firm in truth did so because they love you deeply. The storm is close now, but so is clarity. Now the moment draws closer when silence can no longer protect, and hidden things begin to surface. This part carries a heavier breath, because it speaks of the turning point, the place where truth steps out of the shadows and demands to be seen, even if it breaks hearts along the way. Your soulmate reached a stage in the case where every line connected perfectly. No loose ends, no unanswered questions. What once felt like a distant possibility had now become a confirmed reality. The truth was clear, solid, and undeniable. And the most painful part was not the crime itself, but the face attached to it. The familiarity, the history, the emotional closeness that made it so hard to accept. They sat alone with the final report in their hands, feeling the weight of destiny pressing down on their chest. Their breathing slowed, not because they were calm, but because their soul was bracing itself. They knew that once they took the next step, there would be no turning back. Lives would change, bonds would shatter, and your world would never look the same again. In that moment they whispered your name, not out loud, but inside their heart. They imagined your reaction, the disbelief, the confusion, the hurt, and above all, the question you would ask without words. Why did I not see this? That question alone made their eyes burn, with tears they refused to let fall. They wanted to protect you from that pain. They wanted to stand between you and the truth, even if it meant carrying the burden alone. But I reminded them of something important, something you must also hear now. Protecting someone does not mean hiding the truth forever. Sometimes, protection means allowing truth to arrive before more damage is done. The person who was about to face consequences had been walking too close to your life, influencing you in subtle ways. Conversations that drained you, advice that confused you, emotional pressure that never felt quite right. You sensed something was off, but you could not name it. Your spirit felt heavy, but your mind kept justifying it. This is how deception works. It hides behind familiarity. Your soulmate saw what you could not because they were smarter, but because they were positioned differently. They were standing outside the emotional circle, able to see patterns, behaviors, and motives that you were too close to question. And once they saw it clearly, they could not unsee it. As the order was prepared, your soulmate's hands trembled, not with fear of the system, but with fear of your pain. They wondered if you would hate them for their role. They wondered if you would think they betrayed you by allowing someone connected to you to be taken away. These thoughts haunted them deeply. They asked me one last time, "Is there any other way?" And I answered with truth, not comfort. If this remains hidden, it will destroy more than you can imagine. What was uncovered was not a small mistake or misunderstanding. It was something that had been growing quietly, feeding on secrecy and proximity. The longer it stayed near you, the more harm it would have caused, not just externally, but within your spirit, your joy, your sense of safety, your future. The moment the detention happened, the air shifted. You may not have known why, but you felt it. A sudden heaviness, a strange stillness, a feeling like something important had been removed, yet the space it left behind felt painful and empty at the same time. This is what happens when truth interrupts illusion. Your soulmate did not celebrate. There was no sense of victory, only a deep, aching silence. They stood there watching the consequences unfold, knowing they had done the right thing, yet feeling the cost of it in every heartbeat. This is the price of integrity. It is lonely, even when it is necessary. They did not reach out to you immediately, not because they did not care, but because they knew you needed space to process. They knew that if they spoke too soon, their words might sound like justification instead of care. They waited, praying you would one day understand their heart, not just their actions. Meanwhile, you began replaying memories in your mind. Moments that once felt normal now felt strange. Words that once sounded caring now felt manipulative. You started connecting dots that had never aligned before, and with every realization, your chest tightened. Not just with shock, but with grief. Grief for trust that was misplaced. Grief for time that cannot be recovered. Grief for a version of reality that never truly existed. I was with you in those moments. When you stared into nothing, questioning your own judgment. When you wondered how someone so close could carry such darkness. I held you when your strength faded and your tears fell without warning. And while you were breaking quietly, your soulmate was breaking too, in a different way. They were grieving the loss of simplicity, the loss of innocence, the loss of a future that would have been easier if truth had not intervened. But ease was never the promise. Growth was. This part of your journey is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to wake you, to sharpen your discernment, to teach you that love without truth is dangerous, and truth without love is cruel. But when both walk together, healing begins. Your soulmate still loves you. Their love did not weaken through this storm. It was tested and proven. They did not run. They did not hide. They stood firm, even when standing firm meant being misunderstood. Soon, there will be a conversation. A moment where words finally replace silence. But before that happens, you must allow yourself to feel everything. Anger, sadness, confusion, even doubt. These emotions are not signs of weakness. They are signs that your heart is alive. What was detained was not just a person. It was an influence that had no place in your future, and what remains now is a clearing, even if it hurts. Clearing makes room for truth, for real love, for alignment. This part ends with you standing at the edge of understanding. The shock has not fully settled, but awareness has begun. And as painful as this awakening is, it is also the beginning of freedom. Do not rush your healing. Do not silence your emotions, and do not mistake truth for betrayal. Sometimes, the ones who love us most are the ones who are willing to be strong when everything falls apart. The next part will speak of what comes after the shock, when hearts speak honestly and destiny begins to realign. Now we arrive at the part where the noise slowly fades and the heart begins to speak. This is the space after shock, after disbelief, after the first waves of pain have passed. It is a quiet place, but it is not empty. It is filled with truth waiting to be understood. After the detention, after the truth stepped into the open, you found yourself sitting with emotions that did not have clear names. You were not only hurt, you were not only angry, you were not only confused, you were all of these at once, and more. Some moments you felt strong, as if clarity had finally arrived. Other moments you felt small, wondering how something so close to you could have been so hidden. You questioned yourself deeply. How did I miss the signs? Was my love blind? Can I trust my own judgment again? Hear me gently now. You did not fail. Love does not make you foolish. Trust does not make you weak. You were open because your heart was pure, not because your mind was careless. Darkness survives by hiding near light, and this was never your fault. As you were processing all of this, your soulmate was also walking through their own valley. They did not feel relief. They did not feel pride. They felt the heavy silence of consequences. They replayed every decision, every delay, every moment they chose duty over comfort. And even though they knew they did the right thing, their hearts still ached for you. They longed to reach out, to explain everything at once, to hold your pain and take it away. But love that rushes can wound further. So they waited. They gave you the respect of space, trusting that when the moment was right, truth spoken with humility would find its place. And I was working quietly in both of you. In you, I was softening the sharp edges of shock into understanding. I was reminding you of moments that once felt confusing, but now made sense. I was strengthening your discernment, helping you see that your intuition had tried to speak many times, even if you did not yet have the language to hear it. In your soulmate, I was humbling their strength. I was reminding them that being right does not mean being distant, and that courage must eventually be paired with vulnerability. I was preparing their heart not to defend themselves, but to open themselves fully to you. Then came the moment you did not plan for, but felt approaching. The conversation. It did not begin dramatically. There were no grand speeches, no perfect words. It began softly, with hesitation, with eyes that carried both fear and honesty. Your soulmate did not sit in authority. They did not sit as a hero. They sat as someone who loved you and was willing to be seen completely. They told you everything. Not just the facts of the case, but the nights they could not sleep. The moments they wanted the truth to be different. The prayers they whispered, asking me to take the burden away. They told you how afraid they were of losing you, how close they came to breaking under the weight of silence. And as you listened, something unexpected happened. Your pain did not disappear, but it changed. You began to see the difference between harm and protection, between betrayal and responsibility, between someone who hides to deceive and someone who stays silent to shield. This understanding did not erase your hurt, but it gave it context, and context is the beginning of healing. You were honest too. You told them how small you felt, how shaken your trust had become, not just in others, but in yourself. You told them how the detention made you question every memory, every laugh, every shared moment with the person who was taken away. You did not hold back your tears, and you did not need to. Your soulmate did not interrupt. They did not explain away your feelings. They listened, truly listened, because love that lasts is not proven in control, but in presence. This conversation did not fix everything in one moment. Healing is not instant. It unfolds slowly, like dawn after a long night. But something important shifted. The wall between you softened. The fear of misunderstanding loosened its grip. You began to realize that what was removed from your life was not just a person, but a pattern of subtle manipulation, a pattern of emotional drain, a pattern that kept you doubting your own inner voice. And with that pattern gone, even though the emptiness hurt, there was also relief. Your soulmate began to step closer again, not physically at first, but emotionally, with transparency, with patience, with humility. They did not demand forgiveness. They allowed it to grow naturally at your pace, and I was there, guiding each step. I reminded you that trust is not rebuilt by pretending nothing happened. It is rebuilt by walking through what happened together, honestly and gently. I reminded you that your heart is not broken beyond repair. It is wiser now, stronger, more awake. There were still difficult days, days when a memory would resurface and your chest would tighten, days when anger would return without warning. This is normal. Healing does not move in straight lines. And on those days, I held you close, whispering peace into the parts of you that felt tired. Something sacred was happening beneath the pain. You were learning to choose truth over comfort. You were learning to value clarity over familiarity. You were learning that real love does not avoid hard paths. It walks them with integrity. And your soulmate was learning too. They were learning that strength does not mean carrying everything alone. That love requires letting yourself be vulnerable, even when you fear judgment. That standing for truth is only complete when you also stand for connection. This part of your journey is about rebuilding, not the old life, but a truer one. A life where nothing hidden has power over you. A life where love and honesty walk side by side. What was exposed had to be exposed, because what you are stepping into next requires a clean foundation. The future I am preparing for, you cannot be built on half-truths or quiet compromises. As this part closes, know this. You are not defined by what shocked you, but by how you rise from it. You are not weakened by the truth, you are aligned by it. And the bond between you and your soulmate, tested by fire, is now capable of becoming something deeper. If you both continue to walk in honesty, the final part will speak of renewal, of purpose, of how what felt like an ending becomes a beginning you could not have imagined before. Stay open. I am not finished with your story. This final part is not about what was lost, but about what was saved. It is not about the pain that entered your life, but about the future that was protected, because truth was allowed to stand. This is where understanding turns into wisdom, and wounds begin to transform into strength. After everything that happened, after the conversations, the tears, the silence, and the slow rebuilding, you began to notice a quiet change within yourself. It was subtle at first. You felt lighter in moments where heaviness once lived. You breathed deeper. You questioned yourself less. Something that had been weighing on your spirit for a long time, without you even realizing it, had been lifted. The absence left by what was removed from your life was no longer frightening. It became spacious, and in that space, clarity started to grow. You began to trust your inner voice again. Not because everything suddenly felt perfect, but because you could finally hear yourself clearly. The confusion that once clouded your thoughts was gone. Decisions felt calmer. Your emotions felt more honest. This is what happens when deception leaves. Your spirit recognizes freedom before your mind fully understands it. Your soulmate watched this change in you with quiet gratitude. They did not take credit for it. They did not feel pride. They felt relief that the choice they made, even though it hurt, truly protected you. Relief that you were healing in your own time, in your own way. And something beautiful happened between you. Your connection did not return to what it was before, because what it was before was built under shadows. Instead, it transformed. It became slower, deeper, more intentional. You spoke with more honesty. You listened with more care. Silence no longer felt dangerous. It felt safe. You began to see your soulmate not just as the one who helped resolve the case, but as the one who stood firm when the truth was inconvenient. As the one who chose integrity even when love was at risk. And this realization changed the way you looked at them. Respect grew alongside affection. Trust grew alongside understanding. Love grew alongside truth. I want you to know this clearly. Not everyone who claims to love you is willing to protect your future. Many will protect your comfort, your habits, your illusions. But the one who loves you in truth will protect your destiny, even if it means being misunderstood for a season. Your soulmate was positioned in your life, not only to love you, but to stand as a guardian at a critical moment. This was not coincidence. This was alignment. This was purpose unfolding in a way that was painful but necessary. The high-profile case was never just about justice in the world. It was about justice in your life. What was detained was something that would have eventually caused deeper damage. Damage to your confidence. Damage to your spiritual clarity. Damage to the path I have prepared for you. If it had remained hidden, it would have followed you forward, quietly interfering with your blessings. But now that path is clear. You may still grieve at times. Grief does not mean you regret the truth. It simply means you are human. Allow those moments. Do not rush them away. Each tear releases something old. Each sigh makes room for something new. Your soulmate understands this now more than ever. They no longer try to be strong in silence. They show up honestly. They allow themselves to be seen, not as perfect, but as real. And this honesty is what allows love to deepen without fear. Together, you are learning a new rhythm. A rhythm built on transparency. A rhythm built on discernment. A rhythm built on mutual respect and spiritual awareness. This experience has sharpened your intuition. You no longer ignore discomfort just to keep peace. You no longer explain away red flags just to feel close. You have learned that peace built on denial is fragile, but peace built on truth is unshakable. This lesson will serve you for the rest of your life. It will protect your heart. It will protect your choices. It will protect the future you are stepping into. And there is more ahead for you than what was taken away. New opportunities will come with clearer intention. New relationships will arrive with cleaner energy. New seasons will open without hidden resistance. As for your soulmate, their role in your life is not finished. What they did not separate you. It refined you both. If you continue to walk together in honesty, patience, and humility, your bond can become a source of strength, not just for you, but for others who will one day learn from your story. You will look back at this chapter someday, not with pain, but with gratitude. Gratitude that the truth came when it did. Gratitude that courage showed up when it was needed. Gratitude that love did not run from responsibility. And you will say quietly within yourself, this could have destroyed me, but instead, it awakened me. That is how I work. I do not promise a life without shock. I promise a life where shock does not have the final word. I do not promise comfort at every step. I promise alignment that leads to peace. What you thought was an ending was actually a protection. What you thought was a betrayal was actually a shield. What you thought was loss was actually redirection. Walk forward now with confidence. Do not look back with fear. The truth has cleared your path, and love, real love, walks beside you. I bless your heart with healing. I bless your mind with clarity. I bless your future with relationships that honor truth. Nothing meant for you has been taken away. Only what could not walk with you into your destiny has been removed. And I am with you, always. After everything that unfolded, life slowly returned to a rhythm that felt unfamiliar, yet strangely calm. The chaos was gone, but silence remained. And in that silence, you began to notice things about yourself that you had never seen so clearly before. Your reactions changed. Your boundaries strengthened. Your intuition spoke louder, and for the first time, you listened without arguing with it. You realized something important. You were never weak. You were open. And openness is not a flaw. It is a gift that must be protected, not punished. The experience you went through was not meant to close your heart, but to teach it discernment. There were moments when memories surfaced unexpectedly, a place you once visited together. A phrase someone once said that now carried a different meaning. At first, these memories hurt. They made your chest tighten, as if the past was reaching out to pull you back into confusion. But slowly, something shifted. The memories lost their power to wound. They became lessons instead of triggers. That is healing. Healing is not forgetting. Healing is remembering without bleeding. Your soulmate noticed this transformation in you. They saw how you no longer shrank when uncomfortable truths appeared. They saw how you asked questions with calm instead of fear. And they understood that what you went through did not damage you. It refined you. This brought a new depth into your connection. You both became more intentional with words. You no longer spoke just to fill silence. You spoke to understand. When disagreements came, they were not battles. They were conversations. You no longer avoided difficult topics because you had learned that avoidance lets problems grow roots. This is maturity of the soul. The experience also changed how you see people. You stopped assuming everyone's intentions were pure just because they were familiar. You stopped giving unlimited access to those who had not earned your trust. This was not bitterness. It was wisdom. You learned that closeness must be balanced with clarity. And I smiled when I saw this, because this is exactly what I was preparing you for. There are blessings ahead of you that require strong discernment. There are doors that will open only if you can recognize what belongs and what does not. Had this lesson not come when it did, you might have carried old patterns into new seasons, and those seasons would have suffered. What was exposed was not meant to humiliate you. It was meant to liberate you. Your soulmate, too, changed through this journey. They became softer, more emotionally present. They no longer hid behind responsibility or strength. They learned that being strong does not mean being silent, and being honest does not mean being harsh. They learn to trust you with their fears. This mutual vulnerability became the new foundation between you, not perfection, not control, but honesty. And from that honesty, peace began to grow. There were days when you both laughed again, genuine laughter, not forced normalcy. Moments where joy returned without guilt. You stopped asking yourselves whether it was too soon to be happy. You understood that joy is not disrespectful to pain. It is proof that pain did not win. You are allowed to move forward. You are allowed to love again without constantly checking for danger. You are allowed to trust yourself again. You are allowed to feel safe in clarity. The past does not get to define your future simply because it once hurt you. As time passed, you noticed how your energy changed. People who once drained you no longer lingered. Situations that once confused you resolved themselves quickly. This is what happens when your inner world aligns with truth. Your outer world adjusts accordingly. You stopped attracting chaos because you no longer entertained it. This alignment is powerful. I want you to understand something very important. Not everyone gets the gift of truth before irreversible damage is done. Many live entire lives surrounded by deception, never knowing why they feel empty or blocked. But you were interrupted, not punished, interrupted. And that interruption saved you from years of silent harm. That is grace. Your soulmate's role in this was not accidental. Some people are placed in our lives not just to love us, but to protect us at critical crossroads. Their courage changed the direction of your story, and your willingness to face truth ensured that the lesson did not go to waste. Together, you stepped into a higher level of partnership, one that is not based on fantasy, but on awareness. There will still be challenges ahead. Love does not remove life's complexities, but now you face them with open eyes and a steady heart. You no longer confuse intensity with depth or familiarity with safety. You know better now. And because you know better, you will choose better. This part of your journey is about honoring how far you have come. Do not minimize your growth. Do not rush past this season. Let it settle into you fully. Let it shape how you love, how you choose, how you trust. One day, you will look back at this entire chapter and realize something profound. The case that shook your life also aligned it. The truth that hurt you also healed you. The exposure that scared you also strengthened you. That is how I work. I take what the enemy meant for harm and I turn it into discernment. I take what was hidden and I turn it into clarity. I take what almost broke you and I turn it into wisdom. Stand tall now. You are not the same person who began this journey, and that is a blessing. I am proud of how you faced the truth. I am proud of how you chose growth over denial. I am proud of how you allowed healing to take its time. Carry this wisdom forward. Protect your heart without closing it. Love deeply, but wisely. Trust, but with awareness. Your future is brighter because your foundation is clean, and I walk with you always.